From afar, the castle looks like a dying candle, yielding to the shadows. The lord of the fortress is a man named Yudono. Elsewhere, the clan he serves holds captive the wife and son of a young and fearsome commander, later known as Tokugawa Ieyasu. Ieyasu's forces have reached the castle undetected, and thus Yudono's fate is sealed. The atmosphere was tense, and the quiet of the night made everything seem calm, when in fact, the storm was about to begin. Ieyasu's warriors, trained in the stealth arts of the shinobi, approached the castle walls like shadows in the darkness. The moon barely illuminated the path, and every step was carefully calculated to avoid raising suspicion. The mission was clear: infiltrate the castle, cause as much damage as possible, and rescue the hostages without being detected. This attack was not just a military operation, it was a demonstration of strength and strategy, a warning to all of Ieyasu's enemies. How the attack works. The guards are struck down with such silence that it is said the defenders believe the attack is coming from traitors within the walls. Moving with lethal precision, the shinobi used their camouflage and stealth skills to eliminate any resistance. Using silent weapons like shuriken and katanas, they ensured that no sound alerted the rest of the garrison. Confusion began to spread, and fear gripped the defenders who, unable to see their attackers, began to doubt their own safety. The invaders set the fortress on fire. Smoke and panic stunned the senses of the garrison. The attackers decapitated Yudono and captured his 2 sons. This was the objective. Ieyasu exchanged the noble captives for members of his own family and praised the operatives. The mission, executed with surgical precision, was a total success. The flames illuminated the night, while the cries of despair echoed off the castle walls. With Yudono dead and his sons captured, the message was clear: no one was safe from Ieyasu's shinobi. Accounts identified these stealth warriors as shinobi, part of a compound word, pronounced in the 20th century as ninja. In truth, in medieval Japan, the term shinobi hardly refers to an established class of warriors but more often to a temporary identity. The shinobi were masters of disguise and infiltration, capable of blending in with the common populace and operating in the shadows. Their skills went beyond combat, including espionage, sabotage, and intelligence gathering. This flexibility made them a powerful weapon in the hands of the warlords who employed them. Historical context. Since the late 15th century, the authority of central governance in Japan has eroded. Power fell into the hands of local warlords and warriors strong enough to keep it. These warlords, or daimyos, were responsible for vast regions and maintained private armies to defend their territories and expand their power. Japan was fragmented into countless fiefs, each competing for supremacy. The lack of a strong central authority led to a period of constant war and instability, known as the Sengoku period. The strongest among them, including Oda Nobunaga, threatened to unite the land by the sword. Nobunaga, with his vision and military prowess, began consolidating his power, defeating rivals, and uniting regions under his command. He introduced modern tactics and weapons, such as arquebus brought by the Portuguese, which revolutionized warfare in Japan. His goal was to end the anarchy and bring peace through force. However, this quest for absolute control provoked fierce resistance from other daimyos, who saw Nobunaga as a threat to their own existence. Those who practice shinobi ways are not shrouded in black garments but often hidden plainly in front of their enemies. The traveling monkey trainer, merchant, or wandering poet may be a spy, gathering intelligence in the lands of a rival lord. These disguises allowed shinobi to move freely, observing and reporting without arousing suspicion. Samurai and common soldiers are also employed in stealth operations, trained to move silently and strike by surprise. The ability to blend in with the environment and use any available resource was what made the shinobi so effective. The role of bandits. Since the collapse of central order and the advent of war, the mountains and forests have become refuges for bandits. These bandits, often made up of peasants and former soldiers, organized into groups that terrorized villages and travelers. The lack of law and central order made many warlords see these groups as an opportunity. Pragmatic lords learned to use these bandits for their own ends. Instead of fighting them, many daimyos offered protection and a place in their armies in exchange for their loyalty and services. One clan records that these bandits, both reviled and admired, were granted a stipend as part of a warlord's army. These bandits were not just looters but also skilled warriors who knew the terrain and guerrilla tactics well. Their inclusion in formal armies added an extra layer of unpredictability and brutality to the fighting forces. They became an integral part of the military strategy of the warlords, used for operations that required stealth and ruthlessness. The integration of these marginal elements into the official military structure also served to temporarily stabilize the regions dominated by these lords by turning a threat into a resource. Nobunaga's invasion. Oda Nobunaga gathered tens of thousands of samurai and recruits, including divisions that use arquebus. To subdue his rivals, Nobunaga must venture into lands carved by mountains and precarious passes. The invasion of regions like Iga and Koka was essential to consolidate his control and eliminate any organized resistance. These regions, known for their fierce resistance and use of unconventional tactics, posed a significant challenge to Nobunaga's forces. The fighters of Iga and Koka helped the resistors with little success. Nobunaga eradicated the Koka Confederacy in 1579 and invaded Iga with an army of approximately 60,000 men. The campaign was brutal and relentless, with Nobunaga's forces destroying villages and massacring civilians to break the will of resistance. The defenders of Iga resorted to shinobi ways, some disguised as beggars to plant torches and create the illusion of a great army. However, facing starvation, the garrison eventually surrendered. The resistance of Iga and Koka, though valiant, was crushed by the overwhelming force of Nobunaga's troops, who used modern tactics and superior firepower to ensure victory. The legacy of the shinobi. With the reunification of Japan, shinobi tactics became less necessary. The ninjas in history remain as elusive as their reputation suggests. Certain commanders who employed ninja-style warfare were inspired by ancient Chinese military tactics of Sun Tzu. The strategic relationship between Japan and China is something scarcely covered by the media. I use ground news to get a broader and more well-rounded perspective on these issues. Access ground news through the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage plan. Why you can't survive a ninja attack. Surviving a ninja attack as a soldier is nearly impossible due to several detailed reasons. Firstly, ninjas excel in stealth and deception, making them invisible to their targets until it's too late. Soldiers, often bound by strict formations and routines, are easy targets for such unpredictability. Ninjas train extensively in moving silently and blending into their surroundings. This allows them to approach undetected, making the first strike when the soldier least expects it. The element of surprise is always on the ninja's side, as they choose the time and place of their attacks, often under the cover of darkness or in heavily wooded areas where visibility is low. Secondly, ninjas are masters of psychological warfare. They instill fear and confusion, making soldiers doubt their own senses and comrades. They use tactics such as creating diversions with fire or noise to draw attention away from their true intentions. This psychological manipulation can cause chaos within a group of soldiers, leading to panic and disarray. Soldiers trained for conventional warfare are not prepared for such unconventional tactics, making them more vulnerable to psychological attacks that exploit their fears and uncertainties. Thirdly, the element of surprise is always on the ninja's side. They attack under the cover of darkness, using the environment to their advantage, which leaves soldiers unprepared and vulnerable. Ninjas are adept at using natural terrain features for concealment and ambush, striking from unexpected angles and then disappearing before the soldiers can mount an effective response. Their knowledge of the local environment and their ability to move swiftly and silently through it give them a significant advantage over soldiers who are unfamiliar with the terrain. Lastly, ninjas are highly trained in silent, lethal combat techniques, while soldiers are generally trained for conventional warfare. Ninjas are skilled in the use of various weapons, including shuriken, katanas, and specialized tools designed for silent kills. Their training emphasizes precision and efficiency, aiming to incapacitate or kill their targets quickly and quietly. In contrast, soldiers are trained for battlefield engagements involving formations, firearms, and open combat. This mismatch in training and tactics gives ninjas a decisive edge, ensuring that soldiers stand little chance of surviving such an attack. The combination of stealth, psychological manipulation, surprise, and lethal combat skills makes ninjas formidable adversaries that conventional soldiers are ill-equipped to handle.